Hi, Julia. You are a youth leader and an aspiring member of parliament for the National Resistance Movement, the ruling party of Uganda. I understand you have been campaigning to go to parliament on the party platform of the NRM. So, talk to me, Julia. So far that you've been campaigning, how has been the response of Ugandans as you attempt to go to parliament?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and regards to everyone tuning in. Um, my action actually happens in an electoral college where we have over 432 young people that vote, that is three youth leaders per district, which comprise of the National Youth Council. But it's important for me to mention that over 98% of these youth leaders are NRM. They won the district elections by the national village level and subscribed into the party. I think that is a symbol of how much the party has done as far as structures are concerned for the young people, unlike other political parties, because you don't see in political parties. For me, I would say this is not a game of pinpointing. This is a game about general role of citizens as far as voting, protecting the vote, and actively engaging in shaping the processes we want to see than waiting and just pinpoint your fingers. Because what usually happens is some people, a very big proportion of people, even choose to deliberately not participate in the electoral processes, which is a very bad foundation towards our democracy. So, to answer that, just like any election in Africa, very many things actually go wrong. But how we can have a step towards a free and fair election, we have independent actors that come to oversee from different organizations, even I think African Union inclusive, and also us as citizens. I think where I would blame the government is before the election, or where I would blame the EC. We've not had a lot of sensitization around election period. We usually face it as it happens during the electoral cycle. Yeah, but yeah, I beg to submit.
So, Julia, what should be the expectations of the youth of Uganda in these elections? What should they expect from the NRM?
It is simple. Like I mentioned earlier, young people want to they want to feel seen and heard. When we talk about inclusion, it has to be full inclusion. We do not want to matter only during campaigns and manifestos. We want to actually matter uh, every other day, because we are the majority of this country. Again, if we are fully utilized, we shall become the biggest asset to this country. Our expectations are clear. We want to see more young people included in political participation, taking up deliberate efforts to reduce the barriers that exclude young people. In terms of policy, there are all these very nice programs for young people, but like I mentioned earlier, the only issue is the budgeting does not really correspond to the high numbers of young people. So I want to say, for us, of course, our issues are the same. We want a decent life. We want to stay in school. We want to have jobs, or we want to be in position to innovate for our country. To sit back and know, okay, I am Julia, I'm a Ugandan. This is how much I have contributed for my country. But however, has the environment enabled me as Julia to actually contribute that way to the country? Because what happens in campaigns, there is a lot of affective polarization across all of us. We have the same challenges of young people, but different politicians actually divide us basing on the same issues that should unite us. Yeah, over emotions and all of that. You would see that in campaigns, young people are used. They're definitely the victims of electoral violence. We see a couple of young people still in poverty. So if a politician comes and they are a symbol of hope, they're most likely going to drag you into anything that would be in election violence. So I just want to say that ours is simple and clear. Just like you can feel the energy of young people. We want to be utilized. We want the environment across economics, political, social, to fully include young people, and know that 20 years from now, the investment the country has made in us currently will be the biggest fruit that we shall live to testify to. Yeah.
Well, Julia, you made mention of the fact that there are politically related violence during the election period. You see NRM people accusing the opposition of using the youth to engage in violence. The opposition accuses the NRM of using violence. So where do the people of Uganda go from here to ensure that the election process will be peaceful?
Of course, now it's really late, but we are seeing a couple of actors trying to sensitize young people about no violence. I want to say young people are naturally aggressive, so I wouldn't say, because when you look at the NRM rallies, they are quite really fun and enjoy, like there's a lot of enjoyment going on. When you look at opposition rallies, there is literally a lot of violence, security dragging people here and there. So, of course, from the opposition perspective, you realize that young people in opposition, you know what it means to be in opposition. You're coming out of frustration. The government has disappointed me from A, B, and C because of whatever that politician has told you. Or it is okay for you to subscribe to whatever political affiliation you want to subscribe to. But there's usually a lot of resistance. Yeah, because like I said, from opposition, you're coming from the angle of this is what we want, this and all of that, not from a dialogue perspective. There is a lot of high tension. So sometimes you see a lot of pulling ropes between security and people. And I think even security, the way it handles the electorate, you will know. But oftentimes there are also videos circulating where sometimes it's us, the civilians, that are provoking security. However, even on that specific note, for me as a person, I wouldn't agree with using of live armament to maybe curb the chaos and all of that, because these are lives and they cannot be replaced. So this time round, I think for the next election as a country, we have to prepare better. As young people, we have to take a center stage in knowing this electoral cycle is very short. Yes, it defines a lot in terms of leadership, but it's not worth dying for. So we have to have a lot of processes that sensitize. Now, like young people, we use a lot of social media. It is a tool that we can capitalize on to see how better to participate in electoral processes without actually sacrificing our lives for it. Because at the end of the day, for example, in 2021, very many young people lost their lives sadly because of the too much election violence. Eventually you do not hear any form of accountability. Families will still grieve, but to the rest of the country it is like life has moved on. So that's the sad reality. And I want us young people to look at elections as, yes, it's a defining moment in terms of the leadership of this country, but you are more valuable to this country alive. Yeah, there are very many ways we can mobilize ourselves, organize ourselves better, and demand for maybe policy reforms as opposed to using extreme violence. Yeah.
Well, Julia, let me go back a little bit in a statement you said. You said all young people want decent lives, to be able to have an environment to grow. Do you think the NRM has what it takes to provide this? Because the opposition says the NRM has been in power since 1986 and has not done that. So, what makes this different?
I think what makes it really different are, like I mentioned, when you look at the programs that have been born out of the current government, they're not bad programs. Yeah, we have the student loan scheme. Most of these programs should actually help more young people. Usually, the challenge goes to either the funding to help more people. Oftentimes, it's about monitoring and evaluation to make sure the program is sustained over a period of time. So sometimes it's usually how the program is designed itself. So, as of course, the public would say you've been in government for very many years. What do you have to show for it? But it's for me, I think the bigger blame would be on how do we make sure the existing programs actually help young people. Like I mentioned earlier, we have free education that was introduced by the same government. But over years, it stopped to be free because of its implementation and because budgeting was not meeting the numbers. So the schools decided to add in extra fees. So this is not a bad program, but it takes deliberate political will to safeguard this program. And like I mentioned, government is beyond, of course, yes, it's majority NRM, but for me, the fact that it has had a deliberate effort to have very good programs that can help young people, even in its promises, most of these programs are really nice and they should help young people, but we just need to now question more on the policy part of it, the funding part of it. And even as young people, I should mention, very many young people in this country do not know the programs that the government has in place for them. So oftentimes you realize that even the right beneficiaries are not participating actively to benefit from the programs. So I think then it goes back to the leadership of the young people or those in charge of the young people. One, how do we make these programs known? And we say, look here, the government has put up a fund to help you start up something. The government has put up a skilling hub for you in case you didn't go to any form of formal training to get a skill within 6 months. Yeah. And again, from the side of policymakers, how do we then, even beyond policymakers, young people generally, how do we say, government, look here, this program is good for us, but I think it is only helping 2 or 3 people as opposed to 50 people. How do we then organize ourselves to write a narrative that pushes government to increase or invest more in that program to help young people? And also us to actively engage in monitoring and review. Because it is sad that you see most of the programs for the young people are monitored, reviewed by people who are not young people. So I think there is a bigger role from us, the young people in this government, from policymakers to deliberately work around the existing young programs, but most importantly, have many more programs that target young people. Yeah.
So, Julia, are you telling the people of Uganda, majority who are young people, that this time in the next government, they will see more faces of young people who are participating in the governance of Uganda?
No, that is for us to push for. When we look at, for example, we have now for me, I mean the government put aside 5 youth members of parliament that participate. So those are already sure there will be young people. When you look at those that have directly engaged at different levels, could be local government, you've seen young people step up. But because of the electoral cycle, I want to say we do not know how very many of these would actually win the elections. So I wouldn't say we shall see very many more young people after this election, but I want to say that for me, this election, having very many young people step up, is the biggest step we've had in the history of this country. It has sent a very big sign. And win or lose these elections, I want us to keep pushing these conversations so that by the next electoral cycle, we have eliminated most of the barriers that have kicked out most of these young people. But again, like I said, since we are a majority, at a certain point, it's going to be inevitable for us to see very many young people. But I think the biggest question government or NRM should answer is, how are they training young people to actually take over the mantle, to have meaningful leadership in case entrusted? Yeah, because we are so hungry to actually lead, but oftentimes you see very many young people that are beyond the vigor to lead and actively participate. There is that gap in terms of how we actually translate our participation into meaningful participation. Yeah.
Talking about participation, Julia, what should young people expect from you when you go to parliament? What should they expect from you?
Interesting. I definitely I am for the young people, for the young people, by the young people, with the young people through and through. I want young people to know that the only difference I will make is I know that we have the numbers, but the numbers have not been our strengths because we've not organized ourselves. So I want us young people to have the same voice because it's the only way we can actually demand what is for young people. Definitely speak up beyond just creating awareness about the existing government programs for young people. I recently completed my master's in public policy from University of Oxford, and I want to use also that kind of training to kind of review and realign the policies for young people or the existing policy to fully include youth to benefit the young people of this country. So mine, I want to say it exceeds me as a person because I know if you're entrusted with leadership, it's for the young people. We may not have the big numbers in parliament as we would want to have, but if we have the right leaders, we can organize ourselves better, take advantage of the existing youth structures at different levels, and demand for the young people. We make sure young people benefit from the programs, and we also make sure we support government in terms of review and monitoring, so that the proposed programs actually are sustained and they get to live to benefit more young people. And definitely, I'm a strong fighter of education access. I'm a beneficiary of education, and I'll definitely continue to fight for free education, and also believe tertiary education should be a game changer in our country. So there is so much that our country has to review in terms of young people, including the digital policy. Currently, the country does not have a national AI policy. We have very many young people as creatives. We haven't looked into that. Of course, we want young people to take advantage of money economy, participate in commercialized agriculture, take advantage of existing funding options for young people. So I definitely have to be a voice and at the forefront of such battles, because at the end of the day, if young people are organized better, if young people are fully represented, if the voices of young people are heard, if we are seeing transformation among young voices, we know that the future of this country is set. The biggest goal is to make sure the young people of Uganda are not liabilities, but rather assets to the country. Yeah.
Some people say the NRM is not attractive to young people. Obviously, you deny that. But why do you sharply oppose what they are saying, that the NRM is not attractive to young people?
Well, because like you earlier mentioned, so far the most face of NRM are old people. So we young people, not even beyond politics, young people have a big shift from old people in terms of how we do our things, the energy we bring to the table, how quick we want to see results. And of course, NRM being the ruling party, it comes with a lot of responsibilities. Yes, it's in charge of young people, but it's also in charge of serving everyone who believes or subscribes to it or not subscribes to it. So the reason I'm a strong believer in the party is, of course, there are very many vices or wrongs that have happened within the party. Yeah, I am that objective, but I want to say for me, I have been mentored. I subscribe to the values under which the party actually even started. Yeah, because I've gone through the patriotism, the pan-Africanism, the ideology of the party itself. Yeah, is what has drawn me this patriotic to my country, to say, okay, I just want to serve my country. I want to see A, B, C, and D be better. So if I don't see that ideology in any other party, it's beyond the fun, it's beyond anything else. And then also, for me, the idea of largely of course, young people, we can organize ourselves better, but also within the party, oftentimes there is a big gap between us, the young generation, and the leadership of the party. So oftentimes we are actually fighting to be included beyond the existing structures, like look here and all of that, which you wouldn't blame the party, maybe because it has being a ruling party, it could have a lot of responsibilities. So and then when you go to any other opposition party, they're literally just fighting, come here, come here, and all of that. So I think there is just more need for the party to fully include young people, organize more programs, because they do that. They do a lot of trainings for young leaders, but it's just that gap of easy access and all of that. But for me, as a young person, as a young leader, I know there is more to subscribing to a party than anything else. For me, it's the ideology. I know in one way or the other, the party has been criticized for getting off the tracks, which is really possible because the party is just not one person. It's the president, it's very many people, and oftentimes you not know why very many people are in the party. Sometimes it could be very many, it could be just a game of interest and all of that. But because everyone who subscribes to that party, if they do anything that does not sit well with the public, they bring it to the party. But we also see that in all other parties. So there are things that go wrong within the party, and I think it is to us young leaders to try and see how then do we actually stand for the ideology to which the party was actually founded, to see that for us we organize ourselves better, to see that continuity and succession to carry on. We mentor those that come before us and all of that. I've had that privilege. I've been mentored by some of the leaders within the party. I think that is why I'm more subscribed to the ideology of the party. Yeah.
Before we go, Julia, do you think the NRM with its ideology still has the potential and is capable of meeting the aspirations of the young people of Uganda?
That's a hard one. Well, in its promises, it talks about technology. So we need to hold the government responsible to that because currently the cost of internet is really expensive in the country. Some areas of the country are not yet connected or they do not have access to internet in this generation with a country that has majority of young people. So of course, technology by all means is one of the game changers. But has the NRM fully taken advantage of that? I do not think so. Yeah, I do not think so. But again, there's been efforts. We have promises around it, so we just need to really push their voices. But like I said, you see, most of these things, if young people are fully engaged, there is no way some of these issues could be sidelined to that extent, because we know how best technology can actually transform our lives, and we know that this is a generation we are living in. But well, it could not be the case to some of the people that have thrived through ages without technology or internet. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Julia, for speaking to us here at Africa Things. We wish you the best as you go to Parliament to represent the young people of Uganda, and we'll bring you back to continue this conversation.
Thank you, Peter.